Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tarkov. I'm the EarLegAthlete here with,
Hey Dizzle.
and today we're breaking out the tinfoil socks to speculate on upcoming changes and fixes. We'll also be discussing the seasons and weather survey and recent patch 16.2. So let's get right into it. All right, so I guess we can just start with the patch notes. We'll go from there because they did do
Yeah.
some pretty cool stuff. They've optimized the performance on customs, optimized the in-raid memory consumption on all locations, optimize the shadow quality settings for better performance on low end PCs. And yeah, that's it for the changes. But I mean, those are three pretty big changes.
Yeah.
Anytime a low end PC gets some support, especially in a game like Tarkov, it's always good to see. They
Yeah.
need as much help as
Optimization.
possible, right? So
Yeah, it's been a big one. Especially as of late. They've really been knocking it out of the park with optimization. It seems like every patch has some good stuff. This one especially, the raid consumption or the memory consumption, like that's a big one.
yeah, that's
Um
huge for
the
everybody.
Right. The new customs expansion, and it caused some severe FPS drop, so getting that sorted out is good. And then they also continue to say they're going to work on fixes and changes to optimize and improve the technical state of the game and all upcoming updates. So I just like how they're stressing it. Like even if your stuff hasn't been fixed yet, it's going to happen. So good changes all around.
Yeah, definitely noticeable changes too. Customs runs so much better.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I was
it,
watching
it
you
was
the
out
other
of
night. He
control.
was like
Yeah.
Yeah, he was almost like 200 FPS, like, and not even he wasn't in like the end of the map or like at the
No,
edge of
I
the
was
map. Like
at
you
the new
were in the
expansion.
middle of the map. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Frames are crazy good. Yeah, I've been hunting cultists, so I've been running customs nonstop. Yeah, really good
I've
changes
only
though.
ran I've only ran streets since this patch, but I did notice that my RAM usage was not going over like 25,
That's what I was
which
getting ready
it,
to bring up. Yeah, the memory leak was so
yeah,
bad on almost every location.
yeah.
Streets specifically, you were hitting what, like 40 some gig usage
Yes,
and or consumption in.
streets I would hit 40 and then lighthouse I would hit like 45.
I believe
So,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, hey, now 64 gigs may not be the requirement. You know, you might be able to get by on 32
Yeah.
finally, which is
Well,
which is
and to
always
be
nice.
fair, I haven't done like 10 raids in a row to really check it because that's when it would really get bad is if you didn't restart your game after, about 3 or 4 raids.
I never
So I need to
restart,
do that. Yeah,
especially
I need to do that.
I haven't restarted in other than like in between, a day or so of playing after I've raided all
Right.
day. I turn my PC off at night, right? But other than that, like I don't restart the game, so I can already attest to it because I've been doing transition only stuff. So I stay in raid for quite some time, in and out, and
Right.
frames stay smooth and consistent. I still have some stutters, I still have some connection issues. There's still minor things that happen,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
overall, it's much cleaner. It's much smoother.
Yeah, the stuff that they named, they did fix.
Yeah. But the optimization on customs, because before, like I usually don't run a lot of customs as it is, being, high level and everything else. It's just not a lot of reason for me. It's just not my go to map. But with the cultists turned up, which we'll get into in a minute, it's been the quickest raid to run because, after running 5, 7, 9, 15 raids, you're kind
Right.
of not wanting to spend 45 minutes over and over and over again.
It's also the
But
smallest map with raid or with cultists, so it's easy to go
yeah, they're
in,
in a
see if they're there,
guaranteed
if
spawn
not, reset.
area. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're yeah. But yeah, so just running so much customs and seeing the frame stay consistent has been really nice. And then doing the transitions, it's just I'm really happy to see where it's at right now. I mean, obviously, I think we still have a little ways to go, but definitely some good updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can move into the AI changes and improvements though. So they increased boss spawn chance to 30%, and I got my 15th kill on Urshala, so that was cool. But I don't think I've ran into him a whole lot of times after that. Probably 4 or 5 more times out of like the 15 or 20 raids I've done on customs lately. But then they
I
also go ahead.
Well, I just gonna say I've ran 3 streets raids. All 3 streets raids I've ran into Caban. All
Oh
3.
no shit. Yeah,
Yep, I killed him twice, he killed me once.
that's unfortunate. Yeah, I have bad boss RNG as it is. I think we've come to realize. They also increased the spawn chance for the cultist in PvE and PvP modes, and reduced the spawn chance for partisan in PvE mode. Uh, any regular viewers, I've been struggling to see partisan at all. Literally went what 8.5 weeks or so
Yeah,
without
both
seeing
of
him
us
right
have.
at this point. Like yeah, Adam hasn't seen him in a very very long time either. Granted, I don't run a lot of Lighthouse, but I run the other maps that he spawns on, so I don't really
I've
understand why that's not been
seen
happening
him.
still.
I've seen him one time in the span that you haven't seen him. I've seen him once in that span.
I technically saw him in one raid with a group of the guys in the Discord, but he was on the opposite side of the map from me, and one of the other guys got to kill him. So it's like I didn't
Right.
even get to fight him, and you know, so like, technically I don't really
Yeah.
count that. I guess he was in a raid, so I
No.
guess but you know, it's
He's he's avoiding us for some reason.
yeah, he'll
And
come after the
now,
homies, but not me. It doesn't make sense, or Adam.
like, I think I said this last week. I think we mentioned this because maybe we were just talking or something because I don't think we talked about this yet. But the partisan spawn chance might be bugged because it's like opposite. It's either you see him all the time or you don't see him at all.
Right.
So hopefully, maybe where they mess with it again, even though they say they reduced it, maybe that'll fix him not spawning at all. Like I haven't ran enough raids on any other maps to see, but hopefully, like, because it shouldn't be we never see him. Like we should see him just like we see other bosses.
Right. Like I don't see the goons that often, but I've been seeing them. You know,
Right.
it which is kind of expected. I don't expect to run into them every single raid, but I do expect to see them. But to go 2 months without seeing a
Yeah.
boss that roams on several different maps, like he really no reason for it. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And like you could use the excuse like, oh, he's been there and I just haven't seen him or whatever. I guess that's possible too. But like, isn't his job is to come hunt me down for the most part? And a lot of the
Right.
times, you'd be surprised that I do try to make my way around the majority of the spawns that I know of for him. They're like the rotations that he likes to make on certain maps, and I look for him because he's just never fucking
Well,
there. Especially since I realized he
and
hasn't been showing up.
we know what it's like when he is there. Like we've had
Yeah, there's
plenty of times
obvious
when he was in
interaction.
raid.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. There was, there was a little segment where it was like every raid he was there.
yeah.
So like I said, it's almost like it got bugged and he just wouldn't spawn for us. So hopefully maybe this will get it
Maybe we submit
unbugged
a
or
ticket
something.
on it
Yeah, I feel like
if it
especially now
continues
if
much longer. Yeah,
yeah, if we still don't see him, yeah, that's probably a good idea. At least put it on uh the Tarkov community something.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Just yeah. Well, I don't. I mean, I'm pretty trusting in the ticket system right now. I had a legitimate conversation with one of the employee, with a person on in support about the issue I was having and this, that, and the other, and like I think not too long ago I had submitted a ticket and they had updated on it too. I just hadn't noticed it, and I was like, oh shit. But like they've been seeming to do pretty well too. So like the ticket system still definitely works. Tarkov community
Right.
definitely still works. It's so nice to have so many outlets, right? Like that's awesome. You can
Well,
reach out on
that's
like Reddit. You can attempt to reach out on X or Twitter if
yeah,
people
and that works
if you
too.
can get reach out if they catch it and see it. But it does work.
Right.
And now we've got Tarkov.community and we have the ticket system. Like it's a lot of ways to interact with BSG and get things through.
But yeah, the cool part about Tarkov community, like if we put that on there, like we could get feedback if other people are having the same issue.
That's true
And
too. Yeah.
because people would read it and they would either upvote or downvote it or, comment, something.
Yeah, I think that would be a good place to start with that for sure. But yeah, so partisan has been reduced. Like you said a second ago, maybe it will fix the issue for us. I've had a lot of raids where I probably should have already seen him at least once or twice, and it just hasn't been the case. Uh, but they increased cultists, so they were at like 12 or 15, right?
Yeah, it says they're at 20 now. At least last I checked. Last
Yeah,
I checked, it
yeah.
said 20.
And I'd say that's pretty accurate, honestly. Middle and I ran into them on Shoreline. Had a really awesome fight with them. I need to go on his Twitch and just steal that footage just to have because it was a really good fight. We came out of resort heading towards sunk or the swamp. So we come out the back side or the left side of the west wing, I guess. And we go out and across, and we're at the rocks. There, as I start to head down, I see to my right a cultist laying on the floor or on the ground. So I was like, "Oh shit, cultist!" And I shoot him. We were expecting them to be coming from the swamp side, right?
Right.
Kind of what I expected, anyways. Like, oh, they knew we were here. We were making too much noise, whatever. Like, they're after us. they were coming from resort side. Dude had just flanked around or something, or maybe chased a player like another PMC or something. I don't know, but he was down there. He was the only one down there. I kill that one, and then we get shot from behind, or we get shot at from behind. We're like, oh shit, and we start fighting on that side. It's pouring rain, like downpour. It was so nice. It was awesome, and we're like just
Yeah, it
like
sounds
playing
like a
cover
cool
in
encounter.
that. Yeah, playing cover just in that ditch line. There's that rock in front of you, and then you got the rocks that you come up before you go into
Yeah.
the west wing side. And we're playing in that ditch line. They're coming up from both sides at one point. We had killed like 2 or 3 on the back, and then 2 or 3 out front. So we were just like getting pinched by them. They're coming around everywhere. We're like trying to like I'm reloading and he's reloading, and it's like I'm covering your cover. Like, dude, it was a really good fight with the cultists. Like it's been a
Right.
while since I've had a cultist fight that felt like I actually was fighting cultists, because typically,
Right.
especially on customs, it seems like they, I don't know, they're kind of goofy acted.
Yeah, they seem easier on customs for whatever reason. Like they kind of stand around.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is they're locked in those areas, right? Like they can only go so
Yeah.
far. They're only allowed to be in certain areas. I think if it's on customs, they should just fucking own the map. But
Well, it's like on customs, they have a big area. Like they can go from where you come over into Crack House from that area all the way down past construction, all the way across the train tracks. Like they have a wide area. It just seems like they never use it anymore.
yeah, yeah, it is. It does seem underutilized. I mean, it's
I
like
only
every
see them
time
around
I've ran
Fortress.
into them, they're at Fortress or they're at the boiler
Yeah.
area. When you first
Yeah.
cross the hole in the fence to the left of Crack House, that building we can enter now. It's
Yeah.
always been there, but we can
Yeah.
go inside it now. I fought him there, which was kind of a good fight. Not really. Well, that's the other problem too, is you can hear their fucking footsteps now. That needs fixed.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that.
Silent
Bosses have been
cultists are
that way
nothing at
too.
all. Yeah, Saltus, Saltus. That's what they should be. Saltus. They used to be so terrifying, and that's half the
Yeah.
reason, was because they were in all black. I shouldn't fucking I hate when they're in the light colored pants too. That bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, fuck,
Yeah. I
man,
don't,
all
and they
black,
don't have the cult.
silent
Sometimes they don't
footsteps.
have their hoods up. Like I
Yeah,
just,
they're too
uh,
obvious now.
yeah.
It's supposed to be hard as fuck. I spot them so easily with MVGs on, which, I mean, I guess to a degree, yes, but aren't they supposed to be running like shit that like drains it? You know what I mean? Like, cultists are meant to be terrifying, hard as fuck, brutal interaction that you really don't want to have to run into, and it's like, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I have, maybe it's time played. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just one of
That's
those
part
things.
of
Like,
it.
you know how to do it now. But I still
That's part
think
of it.
being able to
And
hear their footsteps and spot them so easily makes them
yeah.
so much easier.
But yeah, you
It
shouldn't be able to see them on thermal.
Or thermal, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you
NVGs,
shouldn't be able to see them on thermal.
they stand
Yeah,
out
you still
because of
see
the
them on
light pants is a big part
right.
of that. Their pants shine.
But yeah, the footstep audio needs fixed. Not only for them, but for Partisan and for
Bird
Bird
eye.
Eye.
Yeah.
All of them have footsteps at the moment. I was thinking it was a thing with the snow, like because that's when it started. I thought, okay, it's just a bug. They have the snow on the ground and they're making footsteps because of that. But no, now they're still doing it in the well, I don't know if Partisan is because I haven't seen him, but I imagine he is because everyone else is.
Right.
Um, but no, Cultists right now 20% on customs, 20% on woods, 20% on shoreline, 2% on night factory, and 2% on level 21 plus ground zero.
Yeah, I wish that was higher on Ground Zero. I would actually, that would be a
Yeah,
good incentive to go run that map.
I get the
Ooh.
2% on night factory, but
Yeah.
why on the ground zero? It's like,
Right.
which I never
20%
run
on
that
Ground
map
Zero.
anyways, so
No, but give me a reason to, other than just starting my transitions.
right. But I mean, they did bump
20%
it up.
cultists on Ground Zero, that'd be dope. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's a uh, that's a good change. More cultists,
And
always a good
they
thing.
are spawning with more key cards and marked room keys. Maybe not more, but with the increased
No,
spawn
they.
chance, you can go farm it for sure.
I was gonna say they. I don't think it's mentioned in here, but they buffed boss loot, and that was in one of the Tarkov community things where it said
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
in
a Tarkov
progress.
community. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Boss loot, marked
yeah,
room loot, increased
yeah,
loot pools. Just have more loose loot and more loot in
yeah.
general. They
Boxes now shouldn't spawn empty.
yeah, exactly. And safes and cash
Yeah,
registers
saves.
are loaded with
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
go loot them bitches. They are loaded.
yeah. You go into one of the actual like I can't remember on interchange the that one key used to be able to go in and like hit the cash registers and like get a bunch of money. Well, now you can again.
Yeah, you can again. Yeah, you can absolutely can. And I think because of that, they also went and increased the amount of money you can carry on your
I
persons
seen someone
found in
asking
raid.
for it. Yeah, I seen someone asking for it, but I didn't know if it actually got done or not.
Maybe
But
that's
I
what it
seen
was.
someone.
But I think that
Yeah,
interaction is happening. I'm like
yeah.
fairly positive it is.
One of the devs, I actually think it was Trent, had replied to a guy on Twitter and said working on it or something about it. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Let's see. They adjusted the spawn time for player scavs. They now spawn no earlier than 17 minutes after the start of the raid on most of the locations, excluding factory reserve and low level ground zero. Um, so that's a I guess a pretty solid fix. Like at least an answer
yeah,
to a
great,
chunk of the problem because a lot of the times the player scavs will spawn in so early that they're just looting everything up and like causing issues. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I've never really had a big issue with it. I don't see it as a major issue, but I can kind of see the incentive for it. PMCs that are in there risking everything should
yeah.
have first dibs at grabbing that loot up, I guess, or at least
Well,
getting into the position they need to be in. Like 17 minutes
well,
isn't a lot, but it lets you get to where you're going.
yeah, you get and it says no earlier than 17. So I'm sure on some maps it's like 20, 30 minutes, depending on the time of
Yeah,
the raid.
right, right.
Um, but yeah, that's a big change actually,
Yeah, it
especially
is.
for
It is.
PvPers. Um, you got a
Well,
mission to do
even
or
on
something,
PVE, there are AI player scavs. We were watching them spawn in the other last 2 nights ago.
oh, you
That's
mean
what
scavs that
those.
spawn in later.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
that's what I did air
Um,
quotes, but I mean it's hard.
yeah, I had to sit there
I
and think
didn't
about
think
that for a
about
minute.
that. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But but no, like you go in, you shouldn't have, especially on streets, you shouldn't have like 5 to 10 player scavs like already fighting every PMC that's trying to travel that map. Like
Right, as well as
it,
recruiting
because it
other
used
scavs and building armies and
right. That's the
like
thing. Yeah, you can recruit AI scavs, you can recruit other scavs, like, and it's nice for the people who have missions to do, they want to get in, get out, or they just have somewhere to go. And it's like
right.
they got to travel across the map.
You already have to
The
fight so
first
much
10,
shit.
15
You're
minutes,
already dealing with a
yeah, the
bunch of
first
stuff.
10, 15
Yeah,
minutes, you shouldn't have to fight players. So now most people are still in the raid after that. So, you still get your normal interactions. You're not going to
yeah.
like
It's
miss
not
out
really
on anything.
killing anything by
But
any means. It's not like it's
yeah, you get the first third of the raid to actually complete what you're trying to do. Now you still have to fight out the players, but you just don't have to worry about the scavs being, completely cracked players who just ran a scav that raid.
yeah. I agree. I That's understandable. Like I said, I've never really
Yeah.
saw a major issue one way or the other, but at the same time, like I do get it. I understand it. It makes sense. Increase the chance of spawning with better scav equipment if the player has a high standing with fence. So that's cool. Fence rep matters. Nice.
Yep.
Increase the
Yep.
current and maximum durability of all AI PMC weapons.
Yep.
That is also really just as a PVE player, it's frustrating when you're doing transition or whatever, or you even just want to pick up a different gun because you're low on ammo, maybe. Like there's reasons for it, but you pick up a PMC gun and it's in worse shape than a scav gun, and you're like, what the hell? That
Yeah.
doesn't that doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. I would
No.
never bring a gun in with 25 durability on it. That's just that's a bad idea. It's gonna jam on me. But that was another issue is they had these shit weapons and they were never jamming
Yeah.
or running out
Yeah.
of
It just
ammo,
didn't
which
make
is kind of
sense.
expected, but whatever.
Yeah. None of it made any sense all around.
No.
Like bosses and PMCs, like they're not going to be running crap guns. Like there's just no
Right.
reason.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
No.
Let's see. All sniper scavs and regular scavs of any difficulty now have 30 head HP. Not a huge change, but it seems to have been a problem somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, for like the super scavs, and some of the the higher difficulty scavs, a lot of people, you get all those clips of people when they're playing and they'll headshot a scav and then they'll die and then they're like, "What's up with that? My hits didn't count." Or like, "Oh, Tarkov working perfectly fine like it's supposed
Right.
to." Well, what a lot of people don't understand is yes, it was working like it was supposed to because
Right. 30
one
damage
headshot
is not
does yeah,
35.
one
Yeah.
headshot didn't always guarantee a kill. Well, now it
Right.
should.
It
Now
should. Yeah.
now if you headshot a scav, no matter if it's a super scav or a regular scav, you should kill him.
Yeah.
It's just going to save a lot of people from throwing fits about, the game being broken.
Increase the chance for AI PMCs to perceive an AI scav as hostile to 80%. Other chances of faction relationships remain the same on all locations. So a lot of the time you would be running a raid in PvE and the AI scavs and AI PMCs would all just be in a big group together. And it could absolutely cause some issues. When you think you shoot a scav or two and you think everything's chill, and then there's a 4 mana PMCs literally tucked in there with them, and it's just like, oh shit,
Right.
it's unexpected things like that happening, and just like weird. The locations that they do it is what's weirded me out a lot of the times too. Is like sometimes they're grouped up in the open, but they'll be like a scab and two PMCs, or two scabs and a few PMCs, or whatever, a group of them, a gaggle of individuals, and you just turn a corner and they're all chilling right there. It's crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
It
Not a
almost feels
word,
like a
nobody
boss
moving.
interaction. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird because I always knew because, even when they first put PvE out, they said, there's a chance for AI to be friendly, AI scavs and PMCs to be friendly,
right,
not only
right.
to you, but to each other.
Yeah,
But I didn't realize that the chance was so high. Like I knew it was happening a lot, but I thought it was just a bug. But now it's starting to look like no, it was put that way on purpose because they've fixed this more than once. Like they've
yeah. They've been
dialed
tweaking this
it.
number. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So this tells me if they're just now hitting 80%, it was probably at like 50% before. Because even 80% is, I think, still too high. There's still
too.
too much of a
Yeah,
chance for the AI to join together. Like I still feel like that's such a rare instance on PvP. You should try to mimic that and maybe put it at 97% or 95%, because how
right.
often do you see it? You
It's
never really
so
see it.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not often
Like
at all when I actually interact with players,
ex-
player scavs.
exactly. And like yes, it can happen and that's why there should be a chance, but still being a 20% chance, that's still too much, I believe.
Yeah,
Um
one in what, 12 odds,
yeah,
right?
it's just not a good feeling cuz
No,
you,
it,
you just
it
feel like
should
you're getting
be.
cheated.
Yeah, it should be like a 5 to 10% chance.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if a
yeah.
player scav comes up to me and is like, "Oh, hey, hey, hey," I'm probably honestly 9 times out of 10 I see a scav, I shoot on sight.
Right.
It's not off. You like if I'm in a building and they're around the other side and I shot something and they're made a noise and they're like, "Hey," and I'll be like, "What's up?" That's the one time that it happens.
Right.
Just
Or
because they
like
know I'm there, I know they're there. It's like a
if there's a PMC scav extract, you know what I mean, near.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yes, then
right.
then you'll get team ups and stuff. But
That's
even that
so
is like yeah, it's rare.
yeah,
And
it's
it
so
should be
rare.
treated as rare in PvE. I feel like they need to, take it up
Well, I also
90%.
understand you don't want your scavs to all die to PMCs and all your PMCs to just die to scavs, and then like the player's just like, oh, I'm walking around with nothing to do because everything fought everything, and there's like 3 enemies left. But
Right.
sometimes that happens in a raid. Like sometimes
Yeah,
nothing's
yeah.
alive, and you're just like, oh shit, all right.
It does.
So I mean, I
It
don't
does.
know. I
And
think it
they
should be
could just
a higher chance.
well, they could spread the spawns out. Like there's other ways around it, like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
who knows? They might be doing that. They probably are
true,
doing that, but
true.
um and
There's
real quick,
another
we skipped one. The AI PMCs, Raiders, and Rogues, they still have 35 head HP. It did not get changed like the Sniper Scav and regular Scavs to 30.
right.
So everything else still at 35.
Bots now turn their head towards the presumed target to obtain better visual. So they're just doing more and more to keep like that line of sight within perspective of a real player, I guess. Like you kind of have to look certain directions because you can
Well,
only see so far, peripheral. I
and I've
guess
had
like
Scavs
they're,
so many times not be
facing the
facing
wrong
me, like
way,
not
gun
looking.
pointing
Yeah,
backwards.
but
Yeah.
they're shooting me as they're looking in the complete opposite
Yeah.
direction. And I'm like, wait a minute, like how do you even know I was here? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
The detection speed for hard difficulty bots is now equal to that of a normal difficulty bot. So, bosses aren't super quick to pick you up, and, things aren't just grabbing you that much faster. Adjusted the
Yeah,
detection speed setting for AI PMCs. Now they detect enemies 20% faster than regular bots. Makes
good
sense.
change. Yep,
Your PMCs are looking for threats. They are looking
yep.
for
Higher
fights. They
skilled
are,
players.
yeah. AI PMCs now also switch to single fire at long ranges. At close range, they will switch to full auto if possible. So, like they did with the bosses, raiders, and rogues, I think it was, they just implemented for the
Yeah,
AI
it's
PMCs
scavs.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, scavs as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular bots no longer take cover in vegetation. I have seen this, and I have seen them still do it sometimes, depending on how much vegetation it is. I think they might be like trying to get
Right.
behind a tree potentially, but like it's just like a
Yeah.
few bushes stacked or something. I don't know. Or they
Yeah.
perceive it as
Well,
cover because
when
of the layering of the object and it looks thicker. I'm not sure how it works on that end, but
when the first AI update happened, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I did notice it more, like where scavs weren't looking, they weren't being able to like see you through vegetation. So it's like whenever you would go into a fight, they would just go behind vegetation, and it's like since
yeah,
they lost sight of you, they would just stay there, even though
you're
you could
right.
still see them.
They
They
thought they
would
were
just
covered. Yeah,
yeah. So I feel like I haven't seen it as much, but like I said, I've only ran mostly streets, not a ton
right.
of vegetation on streets. So
I haven't seen them. I've only seen them a couple times, but I also think like it's nighttime. Their visual is low. Maybe they're
right.
also just like posted up. Like what I mean. Like it's anything's possible, really. Especially with the
Yeah.
changes they've
Yeah.
been making. It's hard to tell why they would still go to it, but it is what it is.
Right.
Then we have bots can no longer see through vegetation unless an enemy is very close to them. Adds up. Checks out.
Yep.
Bot vision is reduced if they are inside the vegetation. Just like us, we have all those limbs and leaves and everything else in front of our eyes when we're sitting in a bush or behind certain trees and this and that. So again,
Yeah, you
that
might be
adds
able to
up.
see a little bit, but yeah, you can't get a clear picture. You got to lean around, try to actually see what's in front of you sometimes. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
And then we're on to the list of fixes, which they've
Yeah,
done quite a few
quite a bit of
this
fix.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. They fixed an issue where a bot with a shotgun or pistol would not take cover if the enemy was at a long distance, which I didn't realize was an issue. Bots have always done that though. Like even 7 mil
Yeah.
buck or 7 millimeter scavs, 7 millimeter buckshot scavs. Oh my gosh.
Those little tiny 7 millimeter scabs.
Yeah. It's flinging themselves through shotguns.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if
they would
I
always
don't
take crack shots at you from a mile away. Sometimes they'd kill you.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a
one
weird
pellet.
fix to see that finally. Like I just thought that was a feature, not a bug. It makes sense though. You don't have the range capability as somebody with like a rifle.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff is like I think it's stuff they tried to fix and it just for whatever reason hadn't worked the best, but
Yeah,
hopefully now it's where it should be.
fixed an issue where bots would react to noise sources.
Would not
Um,
react.
or would not. Sorry, yeah, would
Yeah.
not react to noise sources. So anytime you were
Which
running on a surface or reloading, packing mags, voice lining, anything like that, they'll react to now. Which I
well,
mean,
I feel like this is part of the how we were running into a lot of scavs like ratting after this
yeah,
update
yeah,
before.
yeah,
I think this is part of that now is that's the reason we were seeing it so often is because
they're
they
reacting to
didn't
us
react
coming
to us.
down. Oh, you think it's
Yeah,
the
they
opposite?
didn't. Well,
Okay,
yeah, I think they weren't reacting to our presence until we walked right up on them. You know what I mean? So
okay, yeah,
normally
that makes sense.
they would hear us coming or they would hear the shots or they would at least either try to like flank or move closer to or back away. It's
Yeah,
like they were just sitting behind somewhere, just sitting there, And it's like
right.
we had so many different situations where it's like walking up the steps, the scav's just right there on you, or turning a corner and the scav's just right there on you. So
That's true.
I'm thinking that's what this is I mean they are supposed to rat now, but I don't think it was supposed to be as often as it was happening, and I think this
Right.
is the reason why.
Yeah,
So
now it
hopefully
should just
that's
be scavs with shotguns and pistols doing it. No, they should step out. They should step out is
yeah.
the thing. When they hear you coming, they should step out, I think is
Yeah.
what they're trying to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and well they said in the last fix was that if they feel like the player has the upper hand, then the bot will actually retreat
Yeah,
and like
do
take
what's
cover.
necessary to try to either survive or
Yeah.
win the fight. Yeah. That's cool.
So it's like it's almost unpredictable now because they have so many different tendencies that they can like go to, which is a good thing. I feel like
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to do is make it more lifelike, more unpredictable, and
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing a good job with it.
Yeah.
Fixed an issue where bots would spawn near PMCs at the start of a raid, and hopefully, vice versa. So like the PMC
Yeah.
spawning near bosses happens less frequently, so it's a race to get to the boss like it is in regular PvP. First one there gets the prize, but not the guy that spawned right on the boss. So
Well,
that's
and we've also had those raids where as soon as we load in, we have like 3 or 4 scavs around us just shooting us. Like
shooting
you
it
spawn
through.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
we did
spawn
it on
in 2
streets.
gunshots.
I feel like it happened
Yeah.
on was it Shoreline?
It was somewhere else. I know we've had it on a couple maps. But yeah, that's and
That's
I've
a good
seen other
fix.
people with clips of them dying, you know what I mean? Dying
Yeah,
before they load in. So,
ain't got that dog in him.
nope.
Fixed an issue where a bot would remain in vegetation after taking damage. Weird, but all right, good to know. Fixed an
Yeah.
issue where a bot would switch firing mode too often when the distance to the enemy changed. So if you were, 20 meters out, it'd go single fire. You'd move to 19, it'd switch full auto. You'd go back out that 20
Yeah.
meters, it's full auto.
Well, people were making it where if they just kept moving up and down, the scav wouldn't
Yeah.
shoot because they'd just be sitting there switching fire mode the whole time. I seen a video of a guy and he was basically just walking forward, backwards, and the scav was just sitting there with his gun up. Like it wouldn't do
What the
anything.
hell? Yeah,
And yeah, so I think that's what that was.
that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't think about doing that. That's hilarious.
I didn't either
Man,
until I
that's
seen
really
someone do it.
funny. Yeah. Fix several instances in which a bot would walk through a closed door. It still happens, unfortunately. When I was
I
fighting
will say
Haltis
this.
in the boiler room, he went and closed the door and just got directly behind it and was waiting. Which, granted, he didn't come through the door. I was only able to shoot his
Yeah,
arm.
that's
His
what I was
arm and
gonna
his
say.
leg poked out. But yeah, and then I was the one that went and opened the door, and that's where he was. I think he was just going behind the door and take cover, and then clipping
Yeah.
happened, and it just happens.
Yeah, it's still weird. Like they still open and shut doors constantly and like kick doors open and then just stand there.
Wait for
But
the door
I
to
have
close in their
not
face. Yeah,
seen yeah, I now you can still see their face and arm sometimes through it, but they have not walked through any of my doors as of late.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's still buggy, but we're on the right track, I think.
Fixed several issues that cause glass to render incorrectly in certain cases. I saw a few clips of people shooting through windows and the glass not breaking, things like that.
I was gonna say I feel like we've seen that too before. Like they
I
tried to
think
fix this
so.
one time before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which again, that's another one. The same
Yeah.
situations happen. Anything that's interacting with the player and the environment and like glass, I can break it once, and it's not just broken the rest of the time. I can shoot that top left piece, the top right piece. Like you can take out each
Right.
individual piece of glass. So there's a lot going on there, render wise
Yeah.
and like just information wise, and a lot of stuff happening inside of the game.
Yeah.
Again, like
Yeah. Anything that
doors,
has a
jumping through
state.
windows. Yeah,
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 anything that
exactly.
has a
Yeah,
different state, open,
yeah.
closed, broken, full, like stuff like that. There's got to be information relayed on every change, so it just causes issues.
Fixed an issue where the RSP flare would not glow after being fired. Never really
Yeah,
paid
not
enough
something I've
attention to.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fixed several issues that caused the main game monitor to be detected incorrectly. This had happened to me a few times in the past. I kind of assumed it had already been soft fixed just because I hadn't seen it
yeah.
again.
It's been a
And
long
I mean
time
like a
since I've
long
had it.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it
I'm
hasn't done
talking
it in
years.
forever. Yeah, yeah, like a
Yeah,
really
years
long
for me.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fix the inability to shoot the MTS 255 shotgun while mounted. Another what I don't know what it is with the shotguns. I think it's because of the chambering issue. You could probably maybe take
yeah,
that first
maybe.
shot, but then like where it has to cycle, maybe it's like sliding down. I don't know what the actual collision issue is, or if it's just a weird
Yeah,
bug or like a code problem or what. But yeah, glad to see it fixed. Fix the ability to transfer an equipped dog tag to the sorting table. Again, just another little weird fix. Fix the
yeah.
incorrect trading UI when buying items with 7 or more cells in length. Fix the
I don't know
cause
if
of.
they're.
Go
Well, I was
ahead.
just gonna say I don't know what they're referencing there. I don't know if they're referencing like sometimes you'll uh, grab an item and like when it comes back, it'll like take up an extra slot or it'll sometimes overlap another item. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Otherwise, I don't
Maybe.
know exactly what the problem
Yeah,
was.
I'm not sure. Fix the cause of the inability to open containers in stash in certain cases. Items that did not fit in the stash after opening the container will now end up on the sorting table when you re enter the character screen.
That's a good
Again,
fix.
that is a good fix, but it's kind of a one off too. There's only a certain time. Like I keep my stash clear though. I think I've
Right.
shown everybody enough times. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't keep shit. I care about my guns, and that's about it. But yeah, I know a lot of people. They're hoarders. They like to keep everything, like everything. I know a lot of people like to just stock up on weapon parts and just things that you'll think you'll need, multiple cases, weapon plates, like it adds up. But yeah, that's
Well,
not an issue I ever run into. I can take in like 4 or 5 kits right now, probably.
and it's like a lot of other games like do it that way too. Just like especially if it's like early wipe and you got your stash full, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to sort
absolutely.
stuff and you know what I mean? There's certain cases where it makes sense. Like if something overflows, it should not just bug out or it shouldn't like not let you move anything. It should just be able to open up a message and it should have everything in there that was like not able to fit.
Yeah, yeah. So it is definitely a good thing to see fixed. Um,
Yeah, sorting table is good and it should be used for stuff like that. There's a reason it's
yeah,
there and that should be
right.
one of them. So good fix.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fix several incorrect conditions in the gunsmith series tasks. So that sounds like just certain parts that you could use or couldn't use can either not be or can now be used. So like the
Yeah,
shift
yeah.
grip,
Sounds like
I think that one is
we're gonna have some
required and always
changes.
will be. But yeah, so you might see more availability on weapon builds for some of the gun kits now, and you might see less options for some of the other builds. It's hard to tell what exactly got fixed, but come wipe, we'll find out.
Yeah,
Fix the cause of missing rewards in the cultist circle in certain cases. I hadn't had this happen in quite some time. I know it was an issue early
yep,
on, but apparently some people were still definitely dealing with it.
yeah. Since this, I have not had the problem.
Yeah. Fix the missing reload animations in certain cases. Again, not something I'd ran into.
Nope, never really noticed
But
anything.
that is something that is definitely needed to be fixed. Actually, no, that's not true. I did. There was that bug. I don't know if this is exactly what they're talking about, but there's a bug that Glorious had shown where you could fire all your shots and then just instant reload.
Oh, yep, yep. I know what you're talking about.
I
I know
think
what you're talking about.
that's
Yep.
I think that might be the situation they're talking about there.
Yeah, I seen him in the hideout sitting there doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. After clicking the cultist circle notification, you will automatically switch to the cultist circle hideout zone. So that's handy.
Yes. Good fix.
Tired of clicking and then clicking and then clicking. It's like, damn,
Well, because everything else, it was like you clicked on it, it took you
it
there.
took you
That
there.
you had to
Yeah,
click on it, and then it would hover you over it. Then you had to click on the actual circle. Yeah,
right.
it was just too many steps.
Too many clicks. Various fixes and improvements to localization of interface items and tasks. Like, let's see, um the what did they call it before? The precision buttstock, the lightweight
Oh
precision
yeah,
buttstock.
yeah,
It's comparable to
yeah,
the PRS Gen 3, which may have been changed. I haven't looked. It's now like the B5 at CSP, something about collapsible buttstock. But yeah, it's some of the name changes. I saw somebody had posted something. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like one of the cans or something had some
yeah.
various changing to it,
There
like
were
the word or something like.
there was definitely a few parts that got renamed.
Yeah. And then they fixed the known issues where the player would get teleported from the edges of certain surfaces. So like you would be jumping up and over a rock face, right? Like you're at a point where you have to jump to get to the next area to climb up the rock higher. Um, and as you would jump, you would just keep teleporting or I guess not teleporting, but sliding over the top. Like I would imagine that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Or actually, it might also be there were times when you would be like leaned up against the edge of something and it would kind of like push you out away from it a little bit. Like when you would shoulder swap
yeah.
or like move or do certain things, like certain areas that obviously that should not have been an issue. Maybe I'm not 100% sure.
Well, and the one I've noticed a lot is if you get on any edge, the game you'll notice up in the top corner you'll get like the disconnection notice will start flashing, and your
Yeah.
character will like teleport like either up or down, up or down.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've had that
That
happen a few
happened on
times.
pretty much
Yeah,
any
yeah.
surface, yeah, on any surface, yeah.
It can
So
happen
I
while
I imagine that's what
vaulting, jumping on boxes, anything that.
yeah.
Yeah, almost any surface. Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't think about that. There've been times I've been shot up like damn near dead because of it. I think I've died to it once. I've also
Yeah,
died
because you'll
to
get trapped in
still
the animation.
yeah, I've also died to still getting frozen when you vault.
Yeah.
Uh you'll climb up on top of an object and you just stand there stuck for a second. So yeah, any fixes like that, anything that impedes the gameplay is always a good fix to see. But yeah, that's everything they did in patch 16.2.
That's everything we know of.
Correct.
A lot of people are, guessing, or a lot of people are thinking that there was more to it, considering it was, a bigger update. The servers were down for 5 hours. They actually took it to 16.2 instead of 16.1.6 or 16.1.7. They took it to 16.2. That usually indicates something big content wise, or a big change.
Yeah.
And these patch notes don't say it, but there's a chance they put like a soon to be event, or
Yeah,
anything
so
like
that's
they
that's
could have snuck something in.
kind of what I was thinking because we were told we were getting an event in February, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then that got pushed back, or I kind of got pushed under the table, right? Like it just never got talked about, swept under the rug, whatever you want to call it. It
right.
didn't really get brought up anymore. And then we had this patch come through, and it was a decent sized patch too. How many gigs was it? Do you remember? It
Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't remember size
was like
wise. It
20,
wasn't big.
not 20. It was like 4 gigs, 7 gigs, something like that. Wasn't it? Like it
I
was
don't even
decent
know.
size. I remember we had talked about, you'd brought that up when it first happened. You were like, this was a pretty decent sized patch too, something blah blah blah. But yeah, we don't know exactly what was added entirely, but yeah, that's the given patch notes. After that, we can move into the in-game survey that we had what two last week now. I think the survey came out 2 weeks ago. We got the results earlier this week, something like that.
Yeah, just a few days ago.
So, question one is which in game season do you think is the most comfortable and enjoyable to play in? I think everybody knows the majority vote was summer at 34%, spring at 24%, winter at 21%, and then 19% like fall. Me, I don't. I like summertime when everything's full, all the vegetation's fully grown in. You got good cover through there. There's nice ways to conceal yourself. But I really like winter just because I think the whole idea of the snow and everything else and bare trees and less cover overall, so more visibility. I really like that a lot too. So like I was torn on it. Spring's nice because of the just sheer amount of rain we get. Like they each one has their things that I enjoy about them. Fall I do like
Yeah,
because there is more visibility. I like the color changes. I like just the way the season looks in general. And I imagine this year's fall is going to look phenomenal compared to what we had
yeah.
last year. So, yeah,
And even
I do
summer kind of
like
looked
summer.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
it looks awesome. It looks so good. Some of the sunsets you're gonna get and sunrise and sunsets and things like that, just dawn dusk periods and like the sky, especially with all the changes we've had recently. I think this summer is going to look extremely good comparatively.
Well,
So,
and stuff we'll talk about coming up, like if they add some of the the crazier weather that they had talked about,
right,
that could be even better for summer. You know what I mean? So
it could. That's
I'm
true.
I get the like the polling. I understand why summer gets so many votes. I get it.
Yeah,
But
that's
I'm
just
like you. I
Tarkov
got I
season.
got things. Yeah, I got things that I like. On every season. And that's why I'm glad we have a rotation.
Yeah,
You get all of them without getting too bored of it, or having a 24/7.
yeah. It kind of almost feels like real world season changes, and I mean it is technically real world season changes
Yeah.
because like it kind of fades in and out like the same way it does for you in real life. Like when winter hits, I'm like, oh shit, dude, let's go snow,
Yeah.
let's go kill some people, And then
Uh,
I don't do that in real life, but like that's how I feel.
right.
And then when snow's been here for a while, it's like, all right, dude, I love it. It looks good. I'd like to pee on it, but at the same time, I'm ready for I want to see flowers. I'm tired of everything looking dead and dreary and just like bleh. And then like spring starts to hit and you're like, oh, the rain. Oh God, yes. Like I love it. The
Yeah.
sound. And towards the end of it, you're
Well, and
like,
I
man,
like
I
how
hope this doesn't
they.
go away. I know it's going to, but you're kind of sad. But like, summer's coming, so you're kind of excited for that. It's like, it's
Yeah,
just cool
yeah.
how that
You
works. It's like, oh, dude, like it kind of like keeps you immersed in the weather pattern helps the immersion so much more is what I should say on that end of it.
But I like how they keep it in sync with reality. Like
Right.
whenever it's winter here, we get winter there. Which it just it. I don't know. It's if there's a way you're going to do it, like you might as well just do it how it is in real life. Like there's no reason to, have the seasons change every month. Like I
Right.
like the way it is.
Right.
I like how they are trying to keep it in, based in reality. Like I think it's just a good way to do it.
Each season gets a few months each. And
Yeah.
which time of day do you pick most often when starting a raid? the majority choice at 38% was I picked the time based on active tasks and raid goals. So like that's I mean that makes
Yeah,
the most sense, depending on it just
it
depends.
does.
Do I got to do night sweep?
But
Do I need nighttime kills on shoreline? Like what is it?
well, once again, though, I'm kind of surprised only 38% because you would think most
That's how
people,
everybody picks, right?
yeah, yeah, you would think. But then 28%, this the next highest, is like, no, I just play afternoon. You know what I mean? Like no matter what I have to do, even if I got to kill cultists, I just play afternoon.
I
It's like,
mean, yeah, that does seem kind of wild. I guess it makes enough sense though. I guess
well, they
like
did
people want it
ask
to be
which time do
bright,
you pick.
sunshiny. Like they want it. You don't want to have to take in NVGs and stuff. Like you don't want to have to use a
Right.
flashlight. Blah blah
Well, and
blah.
like I said, the question was, which do you pick most often? So you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, majority of
eh,
the time.
yeah, most of the time you don't have to like most of the time your tasks are not going to make you come in at night. There's only a few night
Yeah,
tasks.
yeah. There's
So
only a
it's like,
couple. Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
it does.
Evening
And I
getting no
get
love,
like,
4.9%.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Evening's so gorgeous too. But that's the thing. Like we're
It
aesthetic
it
players.
makes
We
sense
we don't
though.
mind the nighttime. We like the look of it. NVGs and
Well,
things,
see,
with the chance of cultists and all that. But evening looks so good too. So I'll typically pick a later time or like dawn and dusk times for me are always good.
evening makes sense though because it's the weirdest time because it's like
Can't
you
quite
are
use
going
your
in while it's day,
yeah
but knowing it's going to switch to night. So it's like, do you want to run around with MVGs on your head while players can still see you? And it's like,
right
or you want to take the chance of losing them when not even getting to use them.
yeah
But so that's always been like, you have less risk going in on morning, afternoon. You know what I mean? Like
yeah yeah
you don't have to worry about that. But so I get it.
yeah. Because in morning it's starting night, so you take your NVGs in and then you just fraud them, right? You drop them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Drop them somewhere when it becomes daylight. You're done with them. You don't need them to anymore. So yeah, that does add up. No surprises there, in my opinion. Nothing too crazy. I don't think.
Yeah, because if you have night raids, you're just gonna wait till it's night. You're not gonna go in the evening and just slowly walk around until it's dark. You know what I mean? You're just gonna go in at
Yeah.
night.
This question I was a little more worried about.
Yeah, same.
Would you like the in-game weather seasons to change more often? I was genuinely afraid that players were gonna say, "Yeah, absolutely. I want weather just in and out, in and out, in and out." Like summer for 3 weeks, winter for 3 weeks, fall for three. Like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
don't make us have to sit in this rain forever. Don't make us have to sit through the snow
right.
forever, kind of shit. But 43% current season change rate is fine. 39, which is still higher than I was hoping, but 39%,
Yeah.
yes, I would like it to change more often, and 17% with no. But luckily, majority vote rules here. 43% current season change rate is fine. Is hopefully it stays exactly the same.
Yeah.
A decent amount of summer, winter, spring, and fall.
Well, it's like,
Ideally, that's how it should go.
what's
Of
the
making it
advantage to
go
change them more
faster.
often?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Then we're just gonna have like a bunch of seasons like
bundled
that.
up all on
It
top
just
of each other,
yeah, it
constantly
just
going through
doesn't
one or
make
the
sense.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
work. What I could see and would like to see is seasonal creep, right? So like fall into winter,
yeah,
it just gets a little more dreary. It gets a little colder, I guess. Technically, we don't notice that kind of thing. But then like the rain starts turning to snow, but the snow's not sticking, or at least not heavily sticking, like a dusting. And then as it gets a
or
little progressive into the winter season, the snow starts falling heavier and sticking more, and you can kind of like see the build up over time kind of situation. Like that'd be
yeah,
really cool, but that also sounds extremely complex. So I don't expect to see that, but it would be cool to see
yeah,
the
yeah,
seasons
yeah.
like creep in and out of each other.
Yeah, yeah. See leaves start to turn brown and then bushes start to die and
Yeah,
grass start to turn brown. Like that would be cool, but
that would be
I
cool.
feel like that would be really hard to
Yeah, that's
implement.
that's not a Tarkov feature. That's
Although,
a different
um,
game, maybe, but Tarkov no.
a game that just came out actually did something that I have never really seen in a game that I can think of, and that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. They have it where if it snows, you can actually sit there, watch the snow pile up, and then the next morning when the sun comes out, it slowly all melts away. Like, it's really
Well,
cool.
there's another game that has been working on a very in-depth weather system as well, and that's Ashes of Creation. That's one that if I find time to play another game, I'm probably gonna dive into, because it's got a really cool real world system to it for like trading, bartering, economy, player interaction. Like it's all based on player. It's really really cool. But I'm not going to go too far into that one. But it has a very deep weather system as well, to where as the weather changes, so the seasons rotate through and the winds change, the severity of the winds change, the rain changes, and it goes through all these cycles. The ground gets muddy, the ground dries up, this, that, and the other. The weather, or as it gets to be spring, you get more rain, more wind, more growth. You see the grass grow, the flowers grow, everything. You can literally watch. It's because they accelerated it to show it off, but you can watch a group of flowers grow up and bloom and then die and then grow and then bloom and then die, like over and over. It repeats the process. Like it's
Right.
insane. As the seasons change too, the animal type changes slightly. So like say you have a were fox or what the fuck ever, a fox will say. Well, that red tail fox, goes into hibernation or whatever when the winter hits, and the white tail or the snow fox comes out or something. Like they're monsters, and so the creatures are different, and the way they change is a little bit different. Like the fur might just change color, and you get like a different effect to it, and its teeth are more valuable versus what the original was worth. Like subtle changes, but as the seasons change, the life and vegetation and everything around it changes too, and it's really in depth. They have like flooding certain areas, so you might use a boat to trade through this route or this route, but as the snow hits and everything freezes, that creek is or that river is now frozen over. You can't traverse it. You got to find a new route to the sea. Like it's crazy the depth that they went. So like there are games that can do it, but
Yeah, but unfortunately,
Tarkov is
yeah,
not
the
one of
game,
those.
yeah, it has to be built on that. Like that has to be part of the
Yeah,
world
the
building
world,
at
yeah,
the
for
beginning.
sure.
Yeah.
So the key results of the survey: performance and gameplay impact of the season change. 26% of players do not notice a significant change in the performance, but believe that the change of seasons affects the atmosphere. So yeah, obviously that's kind of the goal though too, right? You want an atmospheric change with it all. You do, but you don't want to give up performance. And it's good to see that the majority of players, while it's not a huge majority, are not impacted directly. 22% mentioned that season change has a slight impact on performance, but does not interfere with comfortable gameplay. Dropping 5 FPS to have some snow and effects and rain and
Right.
this, that, and the other, I'll take it.
Yeah.
20% believe that some season changes can degrade game performance. I have heard people, especially on low end PCs, again, have a hard time in the snow for whatever reason. Not for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a whole other layer added. There's an obvious reason
Right.
for it.
Right.
Yeah, I think yeah, but I mean that's kind of expected. It's like I said, it is a
It
taxing
is.
system to add.
Yeah.
18% believe that the season change has no effect on gameplay and performance, and 13% note a significant impact on performance, which degrades gameplay. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah. If you're
I don't know
barely
if I'd
running
call it
Tarkov as it
significant.
is,
Yeah,
then it could feel significant. You know what I mean? If you're
yeah,
sitting at like
yeah. If your frames are already
33
struggling,
FPS,
right?
yeah, and then it drops you to 22, it's like, yeah, you're gonna be upset. But
Again, that's a user issue that I know. I'm not saying like, oh, you just build a better PC, right? Like that's not the case, but if your PC is not capable of running certain games, it's also just a sad reality that sometimes it's not capable of running certain games.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, all of us have that same issue. Like
right.
all of us have to have certain system to run the game, and unfortunately, right now it's hard to really even get a new graphics card. But
It's hard to get. Yeah.
it's one of those things where, yeah, it's like si games are only going to get harder and harder, and that's
You're right.
just unfortunately the way it's going to be. Now, optimization is
It is a big part of that.
something. Well, it's something that they've been focusing on more and more. So it's opening it up to more and more systems. It's
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
better than it ever has. We've had the new DLSS 4 was a big change. Hopefully they add maybe some frame gen stuff like that. Like there are ways that they can remedy, people who are having a really hard time. But more than likely, upgrading your system is your best answer to
Yeah.
running the game better.
Well,
Rely on
and
that more than relying on the game to become so much better or so much easier to run.
for sure. And you're kind of. It doesn't take a crazy expensive build to run Tarkov at a decent FPS. You can get
No.
60 FPS Tarkov with a solid processor and a good decent DDR4 RAM.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
no problem. You
100%.
could probably even get 90 FPS or higher depending on what all you're doing. I know I'm kind of a bad look at it because I've got a lot going on all the time, even when I'm playing. But I also have a rig that lets me do those things because it has to. Um, but before I was playing Tarkov, before I was making content and things, and I was able to run Tarkov at 90 to 100 FPS, 80 to 90 FPS probably on most maps, with a relatively not the best system. Like I had a 3060 and what was that first Intel chip I went to?
10 900K.
So like it's a good processor, but in today's standards, it's
Yeah,
relatively cheap comparatively, and those are things that are easy to come by right now too.
and that's the main thing in Tarkov and always has been. You are going to be CPU limited before your GPU.
Yeah,
So with Tarkov, you're better off to get a decent CPU or a higher end CPU and then throw like a 3060, even like a 2070, stuff like that will run Tarkov perfectly
yeah,
fine.
absolutely,
It's
yeah,
it's it's your CPU is your main bottleneck. So,
yeah,
that's something that, you could get a couple-year-old, like you said, the 10900K that we both had it. It ran
yeah.
fine. It ran Tarkov,
Solid CPU,
um,
yeah.
or even like
And
a
if you're
a
only running
Ryzen,
Tarkov
like,
on it and not having OBS and streaming and
yeah,
doing
you're
all
not
these
doing
extra
50
things,
things.
right? Yeah. If all you're doing is playing
But yeah,
Tarkov, you
you
can
can
get
get,
by. I do suggest
5800X
32 gigs of
3D,
RAM
like,
minimum.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be a good
definitely,
chip too.
definitely.
Yeah, those 3D V caches are
Yeah,
chewing up Tarkov right now. They love it, and it loves them.
yeah,
But yeah, so there are ways around it, and it is on a budget term. I mean, obviously, if you have the money to throw at it, like yeah, build the PC. But on a budget term, there are options that are better, that are gonna work great, that are just much cheaper. You can get
yeah,
a board, a 10900K, or the 3060 or under, and you're probably looking at what like a few $100, $700 maybe. And like but that's the cost of gaming these days. Is everything has a price tag, and depending on
yeah.
how you go
I mean,
about getting those things, you can source those things for much cheaper through different outlets.
you could technically get like a 12600K, like an i5 12600K for
Yeah,
about $150. Throw you 32 gigs of DDR4 and like a 3060, 4060, and you're fine. You know what I mean? You're
yeah,
you're cruising.
yeah.
Or any of the Radeon CPUs, like, you get uh even like, I think I had a, what did I have, a 6800 XT, 7800 XT, like you don't have to have a monster GPU.
No.
I think that's the thing is Tarkov, it is hard to run, but it doesn't require like the highest end everything. You target 60 FPS and just, decent gameplay, 1080p, you can do it on a relatively budget system.
Oh yeah, and that's playable. That is completely playable.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, playable, 100%.
Yeah, there are ways of getting around the low end PC issue, and that is some upgrading. And I know money can be tight in certain areas and times, and this, that, and the other. But if that's like I said, that's the cost of gaming. There's just no way around it. Um,
Yeah.
and it's only going to get worse. As newer games come out, and this, that, and the other, um, and generational gaps keep happening. The system that you bought 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even 4 years ago, in some circumstances, it's just not capable of keeping up as well as these other systems.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's like, the game's pretty much done, and it's probably around performance-wise where it's gonna stay. Like, there's gonna be
Yeah.
fixes and things that run better, but don't expect some miracle where Tarkov's just gonna run on integrated graphics tomorrow, It's not gonna
Right.
happen.
Right. Annoying weather conditions. Sorry, we went on a little tangent about computers
Yeah, we
and
did.
builds and things, but part it's relative to the game.
Yeah, relative what they were talking about, people
Right.
saying performance was severely
Yeah.
impacted.
Annoying weather conditions. 40% find fog the most annoying factor. I'm in that margin. I absolutely agree. The fog is just like it comes in extremely thick every time, right? Like, well, not every time. There are times that it's relatively light, but that's most of the time it's so hard to see through and deal with. And I get it because I'm always pushing realism. Sometimes fog is super thick and hard to see through. I just don't
Yeah.
think it should be every time that there's fog.
Well,
I
see,
shouldn't be able to see through.
where I'm at with this is I don't know if the fog is always super thick or if I only notice it when it's super thick.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I
I
know
know
there
it's
are
not
times
always
where,
super thick. Yeah, it isn't.
yeah, But I've also noticed this, it clears up really fast, like,
Yeah, it's
most
not
of the
out too
time.
long.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it. Like I don't care. Like I expect weather to impact my visibility. I know you do too. And I just feel like it's one of those things. It's part of
It's part of life.
being out in the open world. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but like annoyance wise, it's fog, just because it cuts off visibility entirely, and I have to push up so far to get to even see something. But at the same time, they do too. So it's like it doesn't. It's not something that bothers
Right.
me or anything. But having to choose something out of the options, I wasn't going to say overcast weather to be uncomfortable. I wasn't going to say clear weather. I did. I think this was one you
I
could
just
choose
said
multiple. I
satisfied.
did say satisfied. Maybe this is what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, I said satisfied.
I think I said satisfied with all the weather. I don't know. I think you might have been able to select multiple. I might have selected fog. Fog is annoying though. In real life, right now, annoyance levels, fog drives me nuts. Driving in the fog, whatever I'm doing, I just dislike it. Um, doesn't really, not too bad though. But yeah, that's 40% of players. 30% are most inconvenienced by rain. 18% are satisfied with all weather effects. 6% mention clear weather as an annoying factor, and 4% find overcast weather to be uncomfortable. But yeah, I feel like I might have voted in the 18% there with the satisfied with all weather conditions. I can't remember exactly. If it was multiple choice, I definitely selected fog and satisfied. I may have also just selected satisfied. But I think it was
Right.
multiple choice, and I think I selected both. Rain volume balance. 36.5% find the rain volume too loud, which interferes with gameplay. 33% are satisfied with the current rain volume, and 30% think that the rain sound is louder than preferred, but not interfering with gameplay. The main thing from that is how close those margins are.
Yeah.
It's split more evenly than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I was kind of afraid that the majority of the player base, who I know don't really care for the rain, or at least talk like they don't care for the rain, we're gonna just like blow it up and say, yeah, rain sucks, get it gone, something like that, like lower
Yeah.
the volume to where I can hear footsteps again. But I think what's gonna end up happening is a slight adjustment, and hopefully we still can't hear shit,
Yeah,
because
they even
that
mentioned
would
it in
be
the
great.
conclusion.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, I was worried. I thought it was gonna be like 60-20-20, you know what I mean? Or
yeah,
I didn't think it's gonna be so close. But the fact that it is so close, I think that lets BSG know, like, you don't have to
they're
go drastic on the change, you know?
correct. Adding extreme weather conditions. 52.4% believe it would make the game more atmospheric. That is huge.
Thank God.
Overwhelming
Yes.
majority want more extreme weather. I appreciate all of you guys voting out there. You guys rock.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
We were
We've
worried. We
been
really
wanting that.
were.
Our community knows we've been wanting that. We've had several discussions about it. We always bring it up whenever we're talking about weather. Just something that we've been, talking about for a while, and we've been hoping that they were going to implement. And the fact that they put it out as an option and the people chose it, it's good for us.
Yeah,
We're happy.
absolutely. 19% support the idea, but only on certain locations. 15% think it will worsen the balance, and 12% are satisfied with the current weather effects. So yeah, with the overwhelming answer being that we want more extreme weather. Yeah, that's
Right. Because you take
exciting.
the 52 and then you take the other 20 that support the idea, you're talking
Right.
nearly 72% of players are okay with there being some severe
70,
weather.
70. Yeah, it'd be like 71.77,
Yeah.
677, whatever, 5772, 72. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, that's great. And to think of like some of the potential changes for weather effects, again, I like the main one that stands out, right? Rain, heavy rains, crazy thunderstorms, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Snow,
Yeah,
we're
severe
talking like
snowstorms,
torrential, yeah. Like what do they call them?
torrential,
Torrential rains
blizzards.
in the snow, blizzards, yeah. Like blizzard level of snow would be just phenomenal. In the fall, you could. I wonder what they will end up doing for summer and fall. Like obviously the rain is always going to be there. That's the effect for those
Right.
3 months. But is there anything else you think they could do?
I mean, not really.
Like
The most they
some
could do
crazy
would be
wind with
like
leaves blowing around? Like what are
yeah,
they?
you're gonna have the option of thunderstorms. You're gonna have the option of hurricane type weather. You're gonna have the option
It's true.
of just severe downpours. The option of flooding. The option of
Yeah, if
droughts
flooding makes its
even.
way in, that'll be cool. Ooh, that's a good
And they've
point. I didn't think
experimented
about
with
that. Yeah,
yeah, they've experimented with droughts before. Like, they have
yeah,
experimented with, like, water being dried up and things like that before, so, like, they haven't done it, like, on the map, but they've done it to the player where the player, like, was always thirsty and had to
yeah.
drink a bunch more
It's
water,
too hot,
it
this,
was
that, and the other.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that would be cool, but, like, have, like, lootable locations from, water levels dropping and creeks and in these sources that we walk through. Think of the dead bodies in there, you know?
Yeah,
You could just
yeah,
have stuff get just to implement some more things with the drought, just so it's not just like, "Oh, Tarkov's dry." But,
right.
there's add some features you can loot, maybe a safe got thrown down there, something. You could find, like, a submerged pistol that's ruined, but, like, you can put it on your wall or something, I don't know. Just cool little things, like, you could do stuff. But yeah, that would be a cool one. Floods and droughts. That would be interesting. So yeah, they definitely do have options.
Yeah, they could make it, like, dusty, like, dust storms even, or, like, like, a bunch of leaves all over the place, like, in the wind, just, like, leaves flying everywhere, like, there's
Yeah.
several different ways they can go with it.
This next one is a little odd because we're missing some votes, but it's whatever. 53%. Oh, sorry. Selecting seasons in PVE mode. So
I think the, missing voters was the option, "I don't play PvE."
probably you're right.
Yeah, because it was an option, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. 53% think that this feature would add variety. I'm part of that as well. And then 20% think that the season selection is not important. I'm kind of part of that as well. I don't think it matters because I'm okay with the seasonal change. I like the seasonal stuff, but from the content creating idea, like if we wanted to set the mood for a certain video type or do something specific, like hunting cultists in torrential downpours or like just like specific things for videos. But
Yeah,
at the same time, those things happen frequently enough that it's like, all right, cool. The only time I could see it is winter time, and I'm like, oh, I'm ready for winter to be over. But guess what? That's like the end of winter season anyway. So it's like
right.
I don't really care if they add it, I won't use it. If they don't add it, all right,
I feel like
it has a
the way to
purpose.
do it well, the way I think they should do it, or the way I would prefer it is if you could do that in, like, an offline mode. Like, if you wanna do something cool and you wanna mess around with
Yeah,
the weather
yeah,
effects, give us an offline mode. Then
yeah,
you can, like, use it like you said, if you wanted to shoot a cool video, you wanted to have, like, this really, like, you have a exact idea of what you want and you can implement it and run it offline. Um, I don't want PvE to stray too far away from PvP. I want you know, eh,
right.
I want it to remain as close to the real thing as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only thing I'm worried about,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
giving PvE too many options to kinda differentiate. Then it kinda becomes like a playground, you know what I mean? Like a sandbox
right.
to just mess around.
Yeah, I would rather it not go that route as well. Um,
Right,
Especially with the amount of stuff that's already in for each season and changing and rotating and all these different things. Like, I just don't see much purpose for it outside of just, I guess, wanting to set certain, set the temperature, but it's like, it's not
right,
necessary. Yeah, in
right.
raid weather change rate. 36% would like smoother transitions between different weather states, which is kind of where I was at earlier with the whole, fade in, fade out. 31% like the current weather change rate. 20% think that the fast weather transitions would add to the dynamic. 12% think that weather should remain the same as when the raid started. So I would like to see smoother transitions between it if that's what we're stuck with. But I did vote that I think that the weather should stay the same as when the raid started. We're not in there that long. I guess I mean I can understand it both sides though, right? Like sometimes you're in the rain and it stops. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
I
it does.
I
It
feel like it
happens.
it has to like, you should have a buildup of a storm,
Yeah.
like, you should be able to see it's getting cloudy, the wind's starting to pick up, "Oh, shoot,
Right.
here comes a big" like, I feel like that has to be especially if they're gonna do bigger storms, that has to be
Well,
part of it because you can't just have, like, a huge storm the whole time you're in raid.
that's if you start the raid at the start of the storm though, right? Because with it being on a timer, a world timer, that storm could already be in place when I go in raid.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, Tarkov is supposed to be, like, a full day-night cycle, so, it's like, what weather you get should depend on when you enter raid, and Like it shouldn't be like,
I guess we need
oh,
more
you just enter
detailed
raid.
information about the start and at the start about the start of the raid for weather, right? Like we need a breakdown on what the weather is at that time so we
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
we're getting into. Like if it says it's a downpour when I go in there and the forecast says weather or rain, heavy rain for the next 2 days or till tomorrow, then I expect that raid to stay raining and be raining from the time I get in, or vice versa. If it says that it's going to start raining at 6 p.m. and I go in at 4:15, like you said, I would like to see the buildup of the storm and all that change, and then the rain start. Um, so yeah, I guess the smooth transition it makes perfect sense, right? But the
yeah.
world timer matters for that as well. So like depending on where we're at and what we're doing, and what time we're doing it, I guess would kind of
And
vary. But yeah,
I voted just to keep it at the current change rate because I feel like, we it gives you enough to enjoy the weather, but at the same time, if you have something you need to do, it changes often enough that you can still get what you need done. Like I think that's, the safe spot for it.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably is. But the conclusion of this survey is BSG will continue to analyze in game data and your survey responses, and will rely on this feedback to make decisions on future changes and adjustments to the weather and season system. Based on the results of the current survey, as well as feedback on social media, we will adjust the rain volume in an upcoming update. We will continue to share the results of feedback surveys and take your input into account when working on future updates. Thank you for helping us make the game better. So yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna get some sort of adjustment to the rain volume. That much is certain. Outside of that, it seems like everything's gonna stay the same, except for we are probably gonna get some pretty severe storms. Nice
yeah.
increase in severe weather or extreme weather, I guess. So that's pretty interesting, pretty good. I'm pretty happy overall with the survey results.
Yeah. I would be
That's
okay with this just popped in my head. Talking back about weather and like seasons, I would be okay with them kind of giving us a percentage chance. Like say we get to summer and they just put out a thing like severe rainstorms have a 30% chance, of spawning. Kind of like boss spawns. Instead of giving us like a full forecast,
right,
just kind of give us like this is your chance. Like you do have a chance of running into this severe, like only for the severe stuff. For the normal stuff, yeah, keep it. Supposedly they run it off like real Russian like uh weather. Like that's what's always been rumored is they that's what they use. Um
right,
but like for the severe stuff, like the newer stuff they would add, I feel like we should get like, oh, you're in the summer season or you're in the fall season, you
right.
have a bigger chance, this much of a chance of this happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Like
would be
just to
cool.
give us some info. Yeah, just so we
Yeah,
kind of know what we're looking at.
that would be interesting. That would be interesting for sure. I would like to see like be able to sit down in my hideout, click the weather on, hit the weather station, check
See,
the updates on X to see who's where. You know what I mean? Like just
that's
like
also the other thing. I thought about that and I was thinking, I was like, it'd be nice to actually get like, we're getting radios, so it's like
yeah,
maybe we could actually turn the radio station on and get the but then I thought about it this way. I'm like, you know what? It's also supposed to be like society's kind of broken down and it's not
right.
like everything's, kind of
Yeah, we're
it's
inside
not
of
like
a
total
war zone.
collapse, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
it's not like
Tarkov
most
City area is
information.
broken down.
Right. So it's like we probably wouldn't be able to get that information.
Probably
Um,
not easily, especially with like all the jammers and stuff that would have to be up. Like it would
right.
based off of just
Well,
I don't know. It's weird. Well, there was an
at the end
EMP
of
as
the
well
day, true,
that started the
true.
whole thing.
But at the
Fried
end
a
of the
bunch of the
day,
tech.
I've decided that I am okay with the weather being unpredictable.
Yeah,
Um, I'm 100% okay with not knowing what I'm walking into. Um,
yeah, I'm alright with that.
so no matter what they do, I just hope it kind of sticks to the same in the that it is right now. I don't want it to get too predictable or too tamed down, and like
Yeah, no,
you can
I don't
pretty
want it
much
to ruin the
avoid it whenever you
atmosphere.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
no,
want to, everyone, because then everyone's just going to avoid the raids that has the bad weather.
right.
No one's going to go and raid when it's storming. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
make it non-optionable or not an option to get out of any certain type of weather condition. Like if you're going to interchange and it's fucking raining, you're going to interchange and it's fucking raining. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You can go to a different map, but
Except,
hey, the weather in this
yeah,
area, this portion of the map, even is all having the same impact. So it's like
and
when
that's
it
the other
rains, it
thing though,
rains. That's
is
just it.
you you can always leave raid. Like if you get in, you don't like it, run to the extract. You know what I mean? You have
That's
your
true
option
too.
to get out.
That is true. But yeah, like I want obviously I want the more severe weather impacts, but I want it to not change the atmosphere except for bettering what it already is. I don't want it to go
Right.
backwards on oh, it rains now, yeah, but I can barely hear it and it doesn't impede my vision. So that's really
Right.
cool. Yeah. Something stupid like that, which I don't think, obviously, based off what we saw in these results, I don't think that is going to be the case. I think we're
No,
pretty much just
no.
getting
It
a
looks like,
enhancement to the weather.
yeah, it looks like they're going our direction,
Yeah.
what we want.
Yeah. And then we have a few things on Tarkov community that are planned and or started that are kind of interesting, pretty cool. I figured here's a good place to talk about those changes. They have in the planned tab add smoking slash make cigarette packs usable. So make cigarette packs usable so PMCs could smoke some ciggies in raid. Maybe they have like a stress resistance effect. It could be cool, and cigarette packs would have more uses than just one task and some barters. And I agree with that. If you could, how you pop a bottle of ibuprofen and you take your pain pill and you swallow it down, blah, 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 whatever. You could have a similar animation. You crack open that pack of smokes, light it up, you take a few good hits off of it, and you throw it on the floor. And that, you get some stress resistance, you get whatever effect, like you get, right? Like you get something from it, and then you're able to keep doing what you normally do in raid. Just make it a separate animation. Don't make it so I can like just always have a cigarette in my mouth, always smoking type thing. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible too. I guess I don't know, but making it more like I'm using the item instead of just
Right. Well, and
always
it
able
just
to do
gives
it.
it a use. It just
Right.
gives it a use because, as of right now, they're just barter items. That's the only reason. And there's
Yeah.
only like one that
Yeah. It's
requires them.
just the one
Other than
task.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, other than that, there's really, um, and it would just be cool. You know what I mean? It'd just be cool. It goes with the Tarkov lore. You know what I mean? After a nice gunfight, sit down and blaze a ciggy,
Yeah. Absolutely. It would be nice. It would be cool. I've always thought that
Yeah.
too. Ever since seeing the packs, I'm like, I smoke these.
Right.
I'm over here fighting it for my life, and I can't smoke a cigarette. Damn. But that means that bottle of beer needs to be able to be open to drink too. Can you drink the
Um,
bottle of beer? I don't drink alcohol, so I never
yeah.
drink them in
Yeah.
raid. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't
You
ever
can.
crack
Yep.
open bottles of booze.
Dude, they have great stats. Like it gives you it does. It gives you a bunch of buffs and there's no negative to it. A bunch of
Yeah, but
buffs
I
and
don't
it
want
gives
my
you
PMC
food
addicted
and
to
drink.
alcohol.
Well, I mean, he's gonna die
Bad for your
anyways,
health. No, he ain't. He's gonna survive.
No, but here's
His body is
a
a
cool
temple.
one. Well,
My temple.
warning about quest items in your inventory.
Yeah, that one's good.
Um yeah, that one's got 1,500 upvotes and BSG has responded and marked it as planned.
Yeah.
Um just a good quality of life change. If you have something in your inventory, um, it should,
Well,
it should
especially
give
since
you
it's a
some kind of
separate
indication.
tab entirely. You have to go to tasks, and then over on the right hand side of that is where you can transfer items to your stash that are task items, right? For the
Yeah,
most part, there are a couple things like you can pick up in raid that you need, like your Tashanka and stuff like that.
right.
But I would want it. I don't. If I take a can of Tashanka in raid, knowing I need Tashanka when it's in my face, that I hope that's not the thing they're asking for. I hope it's for the specifically the things that are like go pick up this hard drive. Okay, well, it's not in my inventory. What do I do with it? Like, you know what I mean? Those items are the ones you should tell us about.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'd
Now,
imagine that's
on
the
the
case
other
too.
thing, um, I do, I would be okay if they added something like, I don't know, a quest journal or something where you could put down in the journal like items that you're looking for
Yeah.
or items that you want, and it would just automatically tell you like how many of those you have. Like it would just count what you have, not giving you like any information. Like you have to do it all yourself. It's not telling you
Right.
you're
It
going to
just
need
gives you a
this.
ticker.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just a way to count things so you have a good
Right.
idea of what you
Like
already have and
going
you're
to Bitcoin
not
Farm
using
2,
them.
you need 10 PC
Right,
CPUs, 10 PSUs, like all this shit, right? And it's like, okay. But a way to track those, like, okay, I have this. I know I need these. I need this item, this item,
right.
this item. You mark it, just like add to favorites or whatever, but.
Yeah,
Which
and
I
it's
guess
just like
it
I've
works that way, but we
I've
need the
been
counter.
right. I've been grabbing this food item that I know I need, and I know I have a few of them, but I don't want to have to check every single time that I put one, that I use one or take one in raid.
You know
I don't have to
how
check
when
every
you
single time,
grab
like,
the
oh,
item and it's in your inventory and it has the green check mark on it, and when you hover over it, it
yeah,
says for task this, that, or the other.
yeah,
Right there, it should
yeah,
have it should have a counter. It should say
yeah,
like
yeah,
8 out of 12, 10 out of 12, whatever.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
where that
something
should
like that.
be. That would work.
All that is a quality of life. That doesn't
Yeah,
change anything. Like, it doesn't make the game easier or harder. All it does is make it to where you spend less time having to go and count or find every single one that you have.
yeah,
That's just a quality of life change that I think is a good thing.
yeah,
And that can
yeah. I
be
agree.
implemented towards a lot of things in Tarkov, not just that. Like, item inventory tracker, something to where you can keep track of things you have without having to manually actually do it every single time. The adjustment to the stash size to be 12 columns wide.
That would be cool. That would just save some scrolling.
That is, well, also that would make it to where everything fits because everything can be divided by 12.
Right, right.
So your 2 slot items, your 3 slot items, like
Yeah,
all those
everything
can fit
goes
now.
yeah, horizontal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would
So
make me
instead
happy.
of yeah, instead of having in one row of stuff and it's like, oh, I gotta, move this around to get it to fit and this, everything will fit right. Um, and it has almost 1,200 upvotes. It has been submitted to BSG.
Yeah,
They haven't responded yet, but it has been submitted to them.
yeah. Um, let's see. We're getting they planned the EOD armband still, obviously.
Right.
A Tarkov mobile, manage your hideout and gear anywhere. Still working on it. They have a prototype working. BSG they did respond to it. But yeah, so a mobile app for Tarkov would be incredible. One that lets you manage your hideout, organize your inventory, and handle your insurance. But you also got to think too, like that's a lot of things to try to manage on your on screen. So
Yeah.
it's going to take some finessery. So I would say give them
Yeah.
time on that one. Again, like most things, give them time.
And it's going to be limited. I feel like it's
Yeah,
going to be very
very.
limited. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the started section, we have increased scavs at the old gas on customs, which is pretty cool because there's I can't remember the name of the task. Right, yeah, oh, it's right there. Okay,
Yeah.
rite
From
of patch
from skier,
passage.
right?
Yeah, I believe so. But you have to kill
Yeah.
scavs at old gas and new
New
gas and
gas, yeah.
somewhere
New
else.
gas, old gas, and then something else, yeah.
Yeah, and when you go to the old gas to kill them, there's just rarely anything there. At the starter raid, sometimes um I'll see them, but yeah, there could stand to be a few more in the area, or at least pass through the area. We know about the new key container, more crafts to the
Ooh.
intelligence center. That's a pretty good one.
Did you see the buddy healing? Heal another person?
Yeah, that's something they had talked about it a few times, right? Like they had talked about the unconscious state and they had talked about buddy healing,
Yeah.
but it was always kind of
So
like,
it's
yeah, sometime, you know. So I didn't know, but yeah, this I just scrolled down to it. This looks good.
yeah.
This looks promising.
Sometimes
Planned,
my
but not a
teammate's
high
out of meds.
priority
I forgot to
though.
bring them. Yeah.
So on the list, making its way.
Yeah, that's the main thing, yeah.
Yeah. Out of bounds snipers should provide 1 or 2 warning shots before going for the kill. And I am all for it because
Absolutely.
there's too often that I, not
Yeah.
paying attention, will walk out, too far on woods or something, and I start getting shot at, or I go too close to an area and I start getting shot at, and they're just like trying to murder me off the rip. It's like, oh shit. Which I get it
Yeah.
to a degree. You're not supposed to be in that area, but like a warning shot's not the worst thing in the world. One warning shot, that's all I get, and then after that, try to kill me, but give me a chance.
Yeah, and sometimes it's one tap, you know what I mean? Sometimes you walk out and you just instantly die. Like, it's bad, especially
Yeah,
if you're already hurt and, you're trying to run somewhere to heal, which, I mean, we don't do it. We know where we can go now, but, like, especially newer players or, like, newer maps or newer sections of maps, like, anytime you don't know the area 100%, like, you never know where that line is because there's always a line, you know what I mean? If you're behind the line, you're good.
yeah,
Little line that if you cross it, and they always put things there to, uh to tempt you. Like, they'll put, like, a dead body there that you can loot, or they'll put, like, a container right there that you can loot. So
yeah.
they try to tempt you to go up to that line. So
They
it's like,
do.
it would just
They
it'd
absolutely
be
do.
nice yeah, it'd be nice to where if you cross that line, you get a couple warning shots and they're not locked onto you.
Right.
Um, it's not a good feeling to die like that.
No, it's the worst. But
Well,
it's
especially when you
also
just
like,
trust it and
hey,
run right back out.
there's sniper scavs there. Why are you, well, but it's like
Right.
sometimes you got to get up in there. Sometimes you need to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not paying attention. Like things happen, and I feel like a warning shot just feels fair. And I know Tarkov's not the most fair game, but like it's also like, damn, I got enough things going against me. Another major one, I guess two major ones. The one is nice, but there's not a lot to say about it. No more spinning scavs looting stuff. You go to shoot a scav and he's just like spinning in a circle like every half second. He's like rotate, rotate, rotate. It was annoying.
They
But
didn't they mention that they had fixed it? Because
yeah,
I
they
still
tried to
see
fix it
it.
once before.
Okay.
No, it says started on here now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
then the other one that is awesome and I'm excited for, BSG responded in progress. So remove found in raid status for ammo. You will buy your ammo and you can find your ammo. And when you find the ammo, for whatever reason, when you load your magazine and you empty the mag and then you top fill or fill the stack, right? Or you split the stack so that you can, get all your ammo together for the raid, whatever it is. And when you go to fill the stack, it won't let you top it off, right? Well, it's because some of your ammo is found in raid and some of your ammo isn't
Yeah.
found in raid, and the non-found in raid won't stack with the found in raid, and vice versa. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, well that's stupid. So then I gotta
Well,
like
no, I
fill the
get it.
magazine
It's
again,
good.
unload the magazine, and then do that again. So now instead, those found in raid and non-found in raid, they'll mesh together. At least when it comes to topping off your like your ammo stacks.
I was gonna say that's a good thing. Like the reason they do that is because obviously you have certain tasks that have to be found in raid, and whenever you mix something that's found in raid with a
Right,
not found in raid, it loses its found in raid status.
right.
So they just if you had ammo you needed to turn in, they didn't want to accidentally mix it. So now you can't turn your ammo in that you had to. You know what I mean? So it
Well,
was there for a good reason, but it was just frustrating.
yeah,
But it's like that with everything in the game. Not just him. It's
right,
like that. Anything
right.
that you have
Anything that can
multiple of, if
stack,
you
yeah.
yeah, if you mix it with so
Non-found in raid, it'll
but
ruin
how
it.
often are you even turning ammo in for it?
Well, a
You
lot.
know what I mean?
Yeah, and the fix for that would just be make it an ammo box. You know, and there's not that many tasks that.
Yeah,
But
or
yeah,
just make it
ammo just
when you
shouldn't be the
mix them
problem for it.
together, you can just split them back up, and the ones that were found in raid still retain their found in raid
Yeah.
status. Like that's what it should be. It should be yes, you can mix them together, but if you take them
Well,
apart,
wouldn't I mean would that be difficult though? I guess it's just like a save state when you stack it. But then
yeah, just like if it's
yeah, because
found in
it's
raid
only round
until
count
you
that matters. Right. Never mind. It's not
right
individual
and
bullet. It's round count.
yeah until you take it in raid, it should keep that found in raid status.
Yeah. That might.
Um,
But yeah, that they're removing it. We'll see how they implement it. But yeah, that was a pretty cool one. I was interested in that because it drives me nuts when I'm trying to top off ammo or like load up
right.
stuff
Yeah, it is
and
frustrating.
yeah.
Kill cam replay after raid has been planned, um, which is surprising to me because they've talked about how it would be really hard to, but
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
with Unity 22, maybe they found a way, because they do say it's planned. Um, and just to get this out of the way, there's a lot of guns that people are asking for, and a lot of them are planned. Just out of the ones that I can see right now, you got the AN94, you got the Ace and the CZ Bren family, the Galil family. You have the Groza. You have the PP-19 Bison. You have the Bushmaster. You have the FAMAS and the G3. Um,
they have a lot of listed guns. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's just the ones I've been looking at, and all those. So obviously, if there's a gun that's pretty iconic that you want to see in Tarkov, it's probably
Yeah, yeah. I'd say we'll be seeing, especially once 1.0 is here and everything else. They've got a lot of
right.
stuff stacked back up. Like okay, just waiting for 1.0. So because like they've said, and we discussed it before, they want
Yeah,
1.0 to be a more impactful release than just Tarkov's here, and it's the same thing we've been playing. They want a
yeah,
new experience, and us players that have thousands of hours to be ready to dive back in for another several thousand hours to do it all over
right.
again because it feels new and refreshing and different, but still remaining to be Tarkov. So like I am
Yeah,
excited and curious to see what has been held back and like things that we've talked about in the past or this, that, and the other, or maybe like we were way off on and this was the actual fix. And I'm just it is
yeah,
cool. It's exciting. There's a lot of it's just a big speculation point at this point though, right? Like it's there's so many different things that could potentially be coming in that they say they're working on that we don't know quite how they're fixing, and there's
But
a
yeah, I
lot
feel like
to.
it's going to be a content drop. You know, when 1.0 hits, there's going to be a good chunk of content with it.
Oh yeah, especially if they change it as much as they say they are, attempting to.
Right.
So
Right.
that'll be cool. That'll be interesting to see. That covers everything I wanted to get included. I do know that they are. I forgot to mention it earlier. I scrolled past it. They are making changes to the task test drive, the whole task line, because it is not only a little bit frustrating. Uh, a little bit is kind of sarcastic. It's pretty frustrating task line, but it holds you up from a lot of progress. So getting it done is pretty crucial, but it's also just a hard task line.
Yeah.
The streets kills, I think, is one people have a hard time with. And
Yeah.
then
With the
the
SR2.
RPD
Yeah.
in, yeah, the RPD in on Shoreline. And then there's the AK-12 on Lighthouse, which it isn't horrible.
No.
It's just getting to that one. You got to get through the SR2M, and I think there's one more in between
Well,
it. But
the only one I had trouble with was with the SR2 because I got it so early. I didn't have good ammo for it. All the other guns I could get good ammo for.
right,
But the
that's true.
SR2, I had trouble getting good ammo. But even afterwards, like I still got it done pretty quickly. Like it wasn't hard.
No, yeah, it was reasonable. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. That covers everything. Is there anything you want to add?
The only other thing I seen, and it wasn't something I seen now, but just things that people have been talking about. Um, it's the fact that loot has been bumped pretty much all around.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
it's yeah, it seems like something that they're kind of working on weekly. They're kind of messing with things. It feels like right now that marked rooms, bosses, and just maps in general have gotten a little bit of a buff. So, um, this kind of Tarkov community, it shows you some of the benefits of having direct access to the developers. Is they can implement small changes, and then we can
Right.
go and tell them how that's going, and they can get it right.
Yeah,
Because you know, if it's too much, people are going to be complaining. If it's too little, people are still going to be complaining. So it
it
just
helps
goes to
dial
show
it
that
in. Yeah,
this is such a good system for things like that. Loot's always been one of those things that it's a love it or hate it type thing. Some people love it when there's a bunch, some people hate it. It's just right now they can get the say of the people who are playing the game right now. And that's who matter the most. It's the people who are
right.
playing right now. So it's balance it for those people and filter out all the unnecessary people who just, want to complain. It's good for things like that. And I think some people still don't realize how good of a tool this is for the future of Tarkov and what stuff we're going to get and the things they're going to change.
Well said.
No,
But
you
yeah,
said it well.
I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Talking Tarkov, consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date on all of our content. Don't forget to like and comment below your opinions on the weather survey. We'll catch you next week. See ya.